Hi and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit differently than the last few things. We've been kind of on babies. Today we're going to switch gears and we're going to actually be talking about a family milk cow and how to have a milk cow that is easy and stress-free. So a lot of people who are doing the homestead thing, they want to have a home dairy animal. That's kind of like the pinnacle of homesteading for a lot of people, whether it be a cow, a goat, or even a sheep. Just to have an animal that is providing you with fresh, raw milk right there on your farm. It's kind of something that, like, it can't be beat. But a lot of people will miss out on doing that because they think that having a milk cow is too hard, it's too much work, it ties you to your homestead, you have to be there to milk every 12 hours, so a lot of people won't even try because they are under the false impression that it's too difficult and that it's not flexible and that it can't be done with other things going on in life. So today, I want to be your shining beacon of hope. If that is you, and if you want a milk cow or dairy animal, I want to tell y'all today about how you can do it that is stress-free, it is flexible, it is completely customizable to whatever your situation is, however much milk you need, whatever, and it is called calf sharing. So what exactly is calf sharing? You'll also hear it referred to as milk sharing, share milking. I think personally it would be much more intuitive to call it cow sharing, because basically what you're doing is you're sharing the cow with the calf. So you get some milk, the calf gets some milk. Or milk sharing makes sense too, because you're sharing the milk, the cow's sharing the milk with you and with the calf. But anyway, so basically what calf sharing is that your milk cow has a calf, or you buy a calf, whichever it might be, but your cow is in milk and you milk the cow and then you let the calves nurse after you milk. So you get some milk and then you let your calf nurse. Now I'll be honest, I grew up on a farm, little farm homestead, and from like as long as I can remember we've had milk animals. So there's never, except for a very short period of time where our animals were all dry, we've pretty much had dairy animals my whole life, whether it be cows or goats. All that to say, I didn't even know that it was called calf sharing until very recently, and I didn't know it was a thing or that some people didn't do it. It's just normal and that's how you have a milk cow. Well, apparently not, and I'm telling you, those people that don't are missing out. So how do you calf share? There are a couple of different ways to do it. Either you can leave your cow and your calf separated all the time and only let the calves with her when you want them to nurse, which is how I grew up doing it. The calves stayed in the pen and we would milk the cow and then put her in with the calves for them to nurse, then let her back out. However, recently what we've been doing is we'll let the calves stay with the cow all day long, and then at night we will get her in, feed her, take the calves off and lock them up in the pen, let her back out all night, and then get her up in the morning and milk her. After we're done milking her, we'll let the calves back with her all day. They'll go out, because it helps us save on feed costs, because we don't have to feed the big calves as much because they're out grazing, eating grass with her all day. So it's just a different way of doing it. Either way works perfectly fine. That's how we've been doing it, and it's been working out really well for us. So we'll get them off in the evening, milk in the morning, or if we don't need to milk or we're not milking, we'll just put her in, feed her, let the calves back in with her to nurse, and they all go back together. So that's the basic principle of it. You could also switch it if you want to milk in the evenings. You could get your cow in early in the morning, take the calves off of her, leave them locked up all day, milk in the evening, then let the calves back with her all night, get her back up in the morning, take the calves off, keep them separated all day, milk. So it's just a cycle and it goes the same way all the time. So when do you start calf sharing? You want to leave your newborn baby calf with its mama nursing exclusively, getting everything that she's making for at least a week, because that's when she's making that super rich, super nutritious colostrum that you don't want your baby calf to miss out on. So you don't milk her for at least a week until after she's had her calf and he's getting all that good nutrition, all that good colostrum. And then after about a week, to 10 days, you can start separating them for that 12 hours, either during the day or during the night, and milking her. At first, you are going to want to make sure that you're milking her along with that calf, unless you go ahead and get another calf and put on her so that she's getting really well emptied, because one little baby calf probably will not drink enough milk to keep her from getting like mastitis or something like that if you have a actual dairy breed, because they make a lot of milk. So you want to be conscious of that. It'll be probably a couple of months before your calf is big enough to by himself empty your cow out, and you won't not run the risk of her either getting mastitis or drastically lowering her production because she's not being emptied out all the way. Oh, why are these gnats killing me? And the wonderful thing about calf sharing is that you can do it for as long as your cow is in milk. So we have raised, sorry, these gnats are eating me up. We have raised 4 calves regularly per lactation cycle on our cow, and we even have raised 6 calves on one cow during a single lactation cycle, because once your calves get big enough to wean, you can buy 2 new calves and put on her and then start the whole process over again. So, you know, a lot of people say, well, they, you know, their calf nursed until their calf got big enough to wean, and then they had to milk twice a day, every day. You don't have to do that. Just go buy some calves and get them on your milk cow. She'll start fostering them, and there you go. You got new calves to suck. It's like a zoo around here. I don't know if y'all can hear those guineas, but they're extremely loud. I hope it's not ruining the video. And sorry, I'm like, the gnats are eating my legs up, scratching. And depending on the cow, the process of getting new calves on her could be really easy, or it could be really difficult. The cow that we have, she's a little Jersey. Which way? She's right there. And she was super easy to get a little calf on. She, like after 2 days, it was like that was her own calf, and she didn't care. She let him suck, no problem at all. My dad's milk cow, who is her mother, has with age gotten increasingly difficult to get calves on. So much so that the last time, I don't know that they ever could let the calves out with her because she wouldn't let them nurse. They had to get her in the milking stanchion and keep her contained in that milking stanchion for the calves to be able to suck, because she just has gotten to where she does not want to accept new calves. So some cows are super easy, great nurse mamas, great foster mamas. Some cows are super ornery and they don't want to accept new calves, and you won't know until you try, but you can do it, especially if you have a milking stanchion. It just might be, I hope y'all can hear with all these guineas going off around me. It just might be a little more work than a cow that's really easygoing and takes them easily. So what if you don't need milk? Maybe it's just you and your husband, you and your wife, maybe you have 1 kid and y'all don't drink that much milk. Or if you're running late one day, if it's storming and you just don't feel like it, whatever, you're sick, whatever the case may be, if one morning you decide, hey, I really can't or don't want to milk today, you don't have to milk. If you don't need it, just let your cow in, especially if you have the 2 calves, you're pretty safe with that. If you don't need the milk, just let your cow in, let your calves suck her out, and there you go. Don't even have to milk. So let's talk about some of the benefits of calf sharing. There's so many benefits. I personally don't know why anyone would not do it. I really can't imagine having a milk cow not doing it this way. It would be so difficult, and I'm not even sure it would be worth it, to be honest. Not with our lifestyle. You know, if you have little children, young babies, if you get up and go to work every day and you have to leave early, there are some things that make it really difficult, and doing it this way makes it easy, even with those factors in. So first and foremost, with the calves, you have so much freedom and flexibility of not having to milk your cow every 12 hours, 365 days a year. That's kind of what we've talked about the whole time. So that is definitely, in my opinion, the biggest benefit of doing the whole calf sharing thing. Number 2, you're not tied to your homestead. If you want to go on vacation, you can turn your cow out with your calves. Do test this first to make sure that everything goes well. She lets them nurse during the day when they're out and all that stuff. But you can turn her out with them, and it is way easier to find somebody to come feed your cow twice a day than finding somebody to come milk your cow twice a day who has experience and desire to come milk a cow. It's way easier to find somebody who will feed them. So that is a huge benefit, is you can take a weekend off, you can go on vacation, and you don't have to worry about finding a milker. You can just find a feeder, which is much easier. Number 3 is it reduces the stress of having to literally drain every single drop of milk out of your cow's udder, and practically eliminates the risk of mastitis. Now, dairy animals, you do have to be careful, and you do have to really drain the milk out of their udders, or they can run the risk of getting an infection called mastitis, which is not good. And if left untreated, it can totally ruin your dairy animal's udder, your cow's bag, your goat's bag. It can ruin it to where they're no longer good for milking. So when you have your calves on there, you know that your cow, even if you don't milk her all the way out, she's getting fully drained, because those calves are gonna get that milk out. They're way more efficient at it than we are, and they can really drain her out. When they're done, her bag is like a sack of skin. You can tell it is empty and there's nothing left in there. Number 4, you can also raise freezer calves or expand your herd. So we keep our freezer stocked full of fresh, delicious beef all the time, because we raise extra calves on our milk cow. We raise her calf and we raise extra calves, and we raise them and we take them and get them butchered, and then we fill up our freezer with them. It is delicious, it's super easy, and you're raising it yourself, so you know exactly what it's been eating, you know what it's been given, all those kind of things, health of it. Also, you can strategically buy calves to expand your herd if you're wanting to do that. You can get certain breeds, you know, a heifer, whatever you want, and keep them to grow into cows to expand your herd with. If you're not ready for either of those options, you can just sell the extra calves to recoup some of your cost and not be stuck with a calf or a cow, or having to butcher it and put it in your freezer if you don't need meat, or if you're not ready to do that, or whatever the case may be. Number 5 is you just get healthier calves. You know, just like formula is not as good as breast milk for a baby, milk replacer is not going to be as good as cow milk for a baby calf. Not to say that you can't raise healthy calves on milk replacer, because we have. In the past, we've raised bottle calves on milk replacer, and they do great, and they are healthy. But it's not going to be as healthy as if they were drinking their mother's milk, because that's obviously what they were made to drink. And along those lines, you can save tons of money versus buying milk replacer, because that stuff does get expensive. And last but not least, you can get as much or as little milk as you want. Now I say as much, I mean if you want all of it, obviously you can't get all of it because the calves need some. But if you want to get 2 gallons a day, or you want to get 2 gallons a week, you can do that easily and still be having your calves. It just works out so well. So what are the drawbacks of this calf sharing? Honestly, it was kind of hard for me to come up with some drawbacks, but I was thinking about it from a different perspective. Obviously, 1, you're not going to get as much milk. If you want to get all the milk your cow has, you can't do that with a calf on her. And a lot of people do say that they don't get as much cream because their calf will hold milk back when they know their calf is going to nurse, and the cream is what you get at the end. So that could be a possibility if your cow does that. I do kind of think our cow holds back milk because she's very difficult to milk. But to me, being able to calf share way outweighs that aspect of it. And then also, depending on how many calves you have on your cow and what the pasture's like, there are variables, but you could have to feed your cow more. You know, if you're wanting to milk and you have 2 big calves on her, she's probably not gonna be able to make enough milk just on grass. A lot of people these days are really opposed to feeding their cow grain or feed. We feed our cow feed. We feed her about ½ gallon bucket a day, so she does eat a lot, but she makes a lot of milk. She's raising 2 big old calves. You probably saw them in the background here. One is her calf that is half Angus, half Jersey, and then the other is a Holstein calf that we bought from the sale barn. She's raising them and giving us milk, so, you know, yeah, we feed her. But that could be a drawback if you don't want to have to feed your cow feed or grain. You probably will in order to keep her from losing too much weight and keep her milk production up. So bottom line, for me personally, I don't see why anyone would have a milk cow and not do calf sharing. It makes it so easy, so flexible. You can get however much or however little milk you want, and also fill your freezer at the same time, whatever you want to do, but it works out perfectly for us, and I know a lot of other people do it as well, and it works out great for them. I hope this was informational and that you enjoyed it, and it gives you hope that you can have a milk cow and not be tied to your homestead 24/7 every day. You can have some freedom and flexibility, but also enjoy the delicious rewards of fresh milk from your dairy animal. Be sure and check out an upcoming video. Is going to be for people who are considering getting a dairy animal. It's going to be a milk cow versus a milk goat. What things you need to consider, what the differences between the two are. So be sure and check that out if that's something that you're considering adding to your homestead. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for joining. Bye. You'll nurse. Bugs. And then you so you milk, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. Number 4. I do that every single time. Number 4. But to me,